Welcome to Read, Watch, Play, bonus episode number 6, where we're covering the Severance finale. And what a finale it was. Randy, before your innie starts fighting with your Audi, do you want to hit him with the socials?
On camcorder? Like, should we just hang up and do another call? But yeah, if you're here for just Severance, consider checking out our regular episodes. They cover our favorite stories and how they're adapted. Most recently, we did Mickey 17, the latest film from Bong Joon-ho last week, starring Robert Pattinson. Next up, for baseball season, we're doing Moneyball, and fast approaching is The Last of Us Season 2, which I might try and coerce Nick into doing weekly Severance-like episodes for that when it hits full bore. But we kind of need a week or maybe a month off of the schedule we've been running. Most important, follow or subscribe to us on your platform of choice, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, wherever you get your pods. Rate us 5 stars. If you're on Apple, you can also write a review, which I always forget to mention, but you can write us a review on Apple, which that'd be just nice to see and hear. Unless it's bad, then don't do it. Tell your friends about the show. And if you want to follow us on any socials, you can check us out on Instagram at RewatchPlay Podcast, or you can write in at rewatchplay@gmail.com. In terms of recap, Nick said it. We're doing the finale of Severance. So we're going to head down to the severed floor, and we're going to get into it. Finale time. We also did not cover episodes 8 and 9. So, I mean, I think we're going to do mostly finale. Probably going to talk a little bit about, I'm sure, the season as just a whole. And that will cover kind of our total thoughts. As a recap, for the sickos out there who listen to this without watching the show, in the finale, we're starting at Cobell's birthing cabin, which just sounds weird, and find Mark fighting with Mark over video call about how this reintegration is going to work. And Outie Mark is begging Innie Mark to help him save his wife Gemma by completing a Gemma heist, completing Cold Harbor, finding her in the basement and escaping. A lot more shenanigans happen. We're going to get into those. Nick, give me your high-level thoughts. How'd you feel about the finale we had here?
I'm high-key angry at Innie Mark, if I'm going to be honest. We got to the end of that episode and Mikhail's like, "What'd you think?" And I said, "I need a minute because I feel a certain type of way and I don't think it's justified at all." But I mean, do you want to get right into the very end, or do you want to?
Not yet. Back? Just give me your thoughts on the finale as an episode of television.
Fantastic. 10 out of 10 episode of television. I felt all of the emotions.
Yeah.
It was basically a movie at an hour and 16 minutes. So,
yeah.
It's hard to compare that to like a 45-minute or a 21-minute episode of television, but all in all, just fantastic TV.
Yeah. I mean, and directed, I think this is the only episode this season directed by Ben Stiller. So you knew there was, I mean, that's expected. That's like when Game of Thrones is in its heyday and you would get a George R.R. Martin directed episode in the first few seasons. You're like, this is an important one. Like, this is a big deal. I'm in the same boat. I love the finale. I was having the thought of, I feel like there's so much weight put on finales, and unnecessary weight of like, is this going to be the best episode of the season? And I don't think that's the purpose of a finale, but I feel like what a finale helps you do is like crystallize how you felt about the whole season. It like really brings to light everything you've been seeing and any problems you might have with specific plot lines if they didn't pay off for you, or, you know, you're wondering what the hell has Damon been doing the whole time in this castle, and you feel a little bit unfulfilled by having to wait now another 3 years before he does anything again. So I think finales are great in that regard of just giving you a little bit more clarity on how you're feeling about the show you're watching and how you're feeling about the beats of the story. And, you know, if this finale did anything, it told me that I'm loving what's going on. I'm really enjoying all the plot lines, all the characters. It did make me realize, and I know we're going to talk about Cold Harbor, that I don't really care about like the details of Cold Harbor. Like, I just, in terms of, don't care about the tempers. like as all that's happening in the finale, I'm just like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, Cobell, enough. But then I really feel a ton of emotion when I see Mark and Helly hug as they get out of the elevator, and that stuff just locks me in. So great episode of television. Um, should we just get into some of these plot points, discussion things we have here?
Yeah, absolutely.
First,
Why don't we start with Mark fighting with Mark in the birthing cabin?
yeah, did you see that as a possibility? Or did you see? I guess the specific question I have is like, did it occur to you that any Mark, could just reject the idea of helping Audi Mark?
It did. Michaela and I had talked about that a couple episodes ago when we found out they were going to the birthing cabin.
Yeah,
We kind of put together, okay, Mark is going to talk to Mark, but how are they going to do it? And how is Mark Scout going to mess this up for Mark S? Or vice versa, right? Like we didn't know.
yeah,
And then we got that epic camcorder fight,
yeah.
which was probably my favorite sequence of the finale.
Mm,
Tied favorite sequence of the
yeah,
finale.
we all know what's the best sequence.
The fight? Is that what you're gonna say?
No, I was being a little facetious and talking about the marching band with Milchick. Like, not
Oh,
actually the best,
well,
but just iconic.
that's the most iconic for sure. I'll give you that. Let's hit that one second because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to talk about
yeah,
this
yeah,
fight.
yeah. We'll get to Lumen.
Dude, he called Heleny,
Yeah,
and if I'm any Mark, it shows that my Audi doesn't care about me at all and doesn't think of me as a real person. And when you're denying essentially the validity of someone's existence, how do you expect them to help you?
yeah, yeah. I love the through line of Audis speaking to their innies like children and like lesser thans, and this was another great example of that. That it makes you realize why Mark S does what he does toward the end, because he is so skeptical of every Audi he's ever met in his life. And even his own human being, like other part of him, he has distrust in. And it
Yeah,
makes sense. I mean, like he's been, I don't know, how was it, 2 to 3 years he's been working at Lumen? And
too.
like his Audi has never once, cared about his quality of life there. And now he does. So like I get it. And like, yeah, that scene, I didn't see it coming. I think because I expected Mark to be fully reintegrated by this episode, so I wasn't really
Yeah.
thinking of the idea of them having to work together.
Even though, to your point though, even the way he said, "Oh, and you have this little crush on Heleny," like he just completely blew it off.
Yeah,
To back to what you were saying, it just if you're Audi Mark, how do you not understand how important these innies' lives are to them, especially when you now have some of those memories as well
yeah,
because of the reintegration process. Like you understand that this that's their entire life is that severed floor.
yeah,
And I guess for the lucky for the lake, but
yeah. It's like it's just such a good, I don't know, pushback, and I think like rational and realistic for Mark to just be like, so am I and all my friends just supposed to die? like, like I get it that you know, Mark Scout, Audi Mark is going through a lot and really wants to get his wife back. And Mark S cares about that. He was searching for her earlier this season, but it's a lot to ask.
it is.
So that
But
was,
also it was awesome.
yeah, it was great. The back and forth was really good, and I did not see that coming. Do you want to move on to when we get to Lumen?
Sure.
Um, yeah, we kind of go right from this, and I was saying like, we kind of get the info dump from Cobell about what Cold Harbor is,
Hmm.
and any Mark is, kind of losing it a little bit and is like, I better wake up on the severed floor the next time I wake up. And he does. Helly comes running out of the elevator, and I have few things we could talk about. I don't. particularly care about the order. Where do you want to start with when we get back to Lumen?
Weird Kier.
Weird Kier and Helly.
No, like the statue of
Oh,
Kier that also is like
yeah,
talking and it's bizarre. Okay, so to set the stage, they get back, they go into Macrodata Refinement Center, and it's just dark. And there's this animatronic, I'll call it, of Kier.
yeah. Hall of Presidents,
And
Disneyland.
it basically, yeah. And Mark S gets this letter congratulating him. You think it's just this pre-recorded thing. But then Milchek comes in, and Milchek is having a conversation with the animatronic, and that's where things got weird.
Yeah, and also like fighting with the animatronic. I mean,
Yeah.
just Milchick is just not safe anywhere with these leaders. I mean, I'm assuming that this animatronic was voiced. There's someone important within Lumen who's like real time responding. I was assuming to what was going on.
That or the other prevailing theory is that the board is like a motherboard or a
Yeah,
circuit, and it's just all the consciousnesses of the previous Kier. So he might have actually been talking to like the consciousness of
yeah,
Kier, I guess is the way I would put that.
yeah,
Who knows?
yeah, yeah. That was so crazy. I mean, and yeah, I mean, there was another moment there in that where the seeds of rebellion, I feel like, are sown even deeper in Milchick as, he clapped back at Granddaddy Kier.
He did. Milchek's going to be the one that burns it all down. Everyone's talking about, oh,
Cobell,
Cobell,
yeah.
because she was, wronged, and now she's going to do it. No, 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 no. Milchek, especially now that there's a vacancy above
Yeah,
him, uh, is going to bring down Lumen from within. And I think season 3 is really going to be that turning point for Milchek.
yeah, yeah.
Milkshake, if you
Milkshake.
will.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Yeah, that was so strange. I mean, everything that went on in there from that into the marching band performance was just unbelievable. I was
Dude,
like,
but Dylan's got to feel pretty hosed because Dylan worked so hard to get all these perks, and he never got anything better than a waffle party. And if you're telling me a marching band fronted by Milchek as the drum major is not better than a waffle party, you can see yourself out the door.
yeah.
Because
I guess in
that
Dylan's
is the
case, he's
ultimate
like,
perk.
you know, at least they haven't kidnapped my wife for 2 years. So,
Fair.
you know,
Fair point.
I'll keep
Trade-offs.
my waffle party and my wife.
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean the whole, I mean, even leading into that, the meeting with Jaime and Helly, it's just strange seeing Jaime on the severed floor. Helly saying what we're all thinking of, like, what did she say? Like, you're this is weird as fuck or something. Or
Yeah. I never loved my daughter.
yeah. Um yeah. Do you want to talk about Dylan and his arc here that we had? Because this was also
Oh,
happening at the same time.
man. The forgiveness in that man is incredible because I think it is cheating. I do I've I do feel that way. And these are distinct people,
Yeah.
and what he did with his Audi's wife is weird and crossed a lot of lines. But then Audi Dylan is like, I get it. She's perfect. You know what I mean? And so that was like this wholesome moment of forgiveness and family, and because that sets the stage for any Dylan to stick with his family, which is MDR, and go back, and he helps Helly keep Milkshake in the bathroom and essentially allows Mark to go get Gemma.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty in the camp that Audi Dylan can pound sand, but I'm
Hot
very
take.
happy that I don't know. I'm being not entirely serious. He's kind of an any Dylan is just way better. Like I I see what the wife is going for here. Like she can get an upgrade big time here.
Any Dylan's a fireball, and Audi Dylan seems defeated with life.
Yeah, he's a wet blanket. Like no doubt. Like not showing up anywhere. Um but yeah, I mean that note was so good. I mean, perfect little bit of levity too with some Dylan of, have three things to say to you. One, fuck you. Two, then kind of gets into the more heartfelt. And it's a great encapsulation of getting to see, I don't know, a broader view of Dylan this season than just being comic relief and quippy. So I love that. I thought it was just a great conclusion to the Dylan arc this season. And what do you think Dylan's going to choose? You think he's going to? I mean, if he went to help Helly, I'm assuming Dylan is going to choose to continue his employment at Lumen.
If we are operating under the assumption that Gemma makes it out of Lumen, I think it doesn't matter. They don't have a choice. Like,
Yeah.
they're done. Although I do have a theory that I'll discuss at the end,
Okay.
but where maybe they're not done. But I think, like, for the purposes that you have to think they're shutting down macro data refinement, they're not going to let any of those people back on the severed floor. They're going to have to find whole new subjects because you just can't allow them near other people.
Yeah.
I mean, they hit Milchick in the head with a trombone. I mean,
Yeah.
how do you come back from that? You don't.
Yeah.
If you ever hit me in the head with a trombone, that would be the end of our friendship, Brady. I'll tell you that right now.
It's like, what an instrument to just get pow right in the kisser with a trombone. That's probably the first violent trombone hit I've seen in my life. And I've watched a lot of action movies.
It's true. Very underrated action movie tool, the trombone.
Yeah, especially because you can disassemble into two pieces if you want to go akimbo.
Right?
Yeah, there's a lot happening
So
there.
versatile.
But I have no idea how much a trombone weighs either. I've never firmly grasped it. You haven't held one either?
No, I'm just trying to think. And honestly, I don't even know if I know anybody who's ever played a trombone.
Yeah, me neither.
I know a decent amount of people. I mean, Michaela was in the marching band at UT. I don't think any of her friends played the trombone either.
Yeah.
I'm going to get roasted if one of them played the trombone, and I just don't know that. But
yeah, it's funny how there's like two categories of instruments of like those that you either decide to play when you're like in elementary school and you just stick with it for the rest of your life, and those that is like socially acceptable to just pick up at any point in life. You're not going to bat an eye if a guy says, I'm 40 years old, I want to learn guitar. But if all of a sudden for my 42nd birthday, I ask for a trombone for my birthday, I feel like I'm going to get some looks and some questions asked like, now you're going to think about learning trombone? Like, it'd be so annoying.
I would make a separate episode of this podcast just making fun of you for trying to learn the trombone at 40 years old.
Like, what do your neighbors and every other person you live with, like, the hell you have to put them through learning trombone?
Yeah, it's hard enough letting a child do it, I think, most of those wind instruments.
Yeah.
I think that if you, at least when you're learning to play the guitar, especially if you learn on an electric, you can plug your headset in.
Totally.
And you can go in another room and you're not bothering anybody.
Yeah. Wonderwall, Smoke on the Water, whatever you're thinking.
Yeah. Probably those two before you quit and get bored.
Yeah. Iron
Man. You don't learn to play the trombone quietly.
No. And also, like, what popular music are you, like, basing this newfound love on?
I don't know. And I feel like I really feel like I'm not shitting on the trombone here.
No, not at all. Love the boner.
It's just the absurdity of learning different instruments at different times in life is what we're discussing. I don't want that to come across as like, oh, if you play the trombone, you're an idiot. No, because it's actually really cool. It's a really cool instrument, and I like jazz ensembles and like big orchestras are awesome.
Very cool.
Don't know many people that learn to do big orchestra music at 40.
No.
To Randy's point.
And Milchick, after this, is definitely not. He's probably out on trombone for life.
Yeah, his marching band is short one instrument forever.
Yeah. But man, that whole sequence was just incredible. Milchick, he just lives for it. He lives for these dance opportunities, and you see his calling here because he probably has the worst job at Lumen. Like, I feel like he's the only person working and is just getting dunked on 24/7.
Yeah.
So maybe this is just his outlet. Dance Party Season 1, Marching Band Season 2. It was hilarious.
Listen, if I could dance like that, I would be dancing all the time too.
Totally.
That guy's got moves, man. I am jealous of the way his body just flows.
Yeah. What's funny is thinking about like what was happening there. I mean, because this is a whole department that we're supposed to believe is, this drumline department. I can't remember what they were called. They had a name. But there was like some serious choreography going on. So there were parts of Milchick's last 3 months where he had to take time out of his day to learn this drumline choreography for Cold Harbor. And like
I respect it.
Thinking of him having to go do that after dealing with, Miss Huang or his performance review. This guy his job sucks.
I would not want to be in charge of severed people.
Yeah.
Especially in the way he had to go interact with their innies and outies. I don't like it.
No, they're like, adult children who can get violent sometimes. But yeah, I mean, we've already talked about, next season, it's got to be a lot. Like Milchick is 100% turning on Lumen Season 3. Like, it's the ground is paved there. Do you want to talk about Cold Harbor at all? Because we were kind of right. When we were discussing like what were these rooms, I mean, and no, I'm not putting this out there, it's like Nick and Randy put out the theory.
No, we
the
did.
only ones that put out the theory.
We did. I don't understand why you're trying to diminish our accomplishments here.
I know. Kier would want me to be probably more aggressive and fiery like Helly,
but not verbose.
So I talk stupid. So, but yeah, I mean, Cold Harbor, it was to test limits of pain and what you can sever. Are there any emotional, traumatic experiences that are too much for them to sever? And that was what this was doing, which is awesome. I mean, I feel like either you or I think even Alyssa might have mentioned that like maybe the actual data stuff is like sorting the tempers. Even that, I don't really understand what the tempers are. I don't really care that much. It's just like, and I don't say that as a critique. It just doesn't matter to me.
I don't think it's necessarily supposed to yet.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's a lot of world building elements in this show where I feel like we're still in the infancy stages and they're introducing things to get you used to them so they can be used in later seasons.
Yeah. Yeah, I just kind of have this feeling like, am I ever going to care? Because I feel like I just kind of don't. It's very similar to maybe a good comp is when the Star Wars prequels were coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Deeply love them. Do not give a shit about midichlorians. I don't care how or why Jedi are the way they are or how they're more powerful. It does not matter to me. I just don't care. And that's kind of how I feel about the tempers. Like, what matters to me are the dynamics and the relationships and Mark finding Gemma and Mark's relationship with Like, I just care about all of that. I don't really care about the kind of culty Kier temper stuff. And it's almost like I love mystery, but I don't always love or need answers to the mystery. Like, I love questions, but I don't need the answers. And I'm not saying that as a critique, I'm just saying that as, like, a personal preference.
It's interesting that you're content being so, like, surface level with those things, but then in Mickey 17, you, like, ripped it apart for not going deeper.
Yeah, but that's because Severance is completely delivering on the moral quandaries that it's putting forth
Fair
and not
enough.
getting lost in food rations.
Yeah, alright, fair enough.
Yeah. Um,
Let's talk about this fight sequence.
yeah.
Dude, Brienne of Tarth is back,
Yeah.
and she's still a badass.
The scream was the exact same from the fight with the Hound. Like, the
Yep.
exact same. Like, I was wondering how, because, like, I was assuming she was coming back into it and the goats were coming back into it, which,
Yeah.
thank God Emil, Emily, whatever the hell the goat's name was, lived. Because when I saw, like, the violence warning at the beginning of the episode, I was like, oh no. Oh no.
The whole naming the goat at the end where she's like, "Emil says thank you," and Mark's just looking at her like, "What the fuck?" And she goes, "It's the name of the goat."
It's
And he
new.
just goes, "Oh, okay." Perfect moment of levity right after a serious moment such as that prolonged fight sequence.
Yeah. Yeah, it was great. I mean, I was very concerned for the goat, and they were building great tension with Drummond, and
Bruce.
you knew Brienne was gonna come and save Mark in that situation, because there's no way Mark is putting up any fight against Drummond.
No, not at all. And I think that tension has been building for episodes, especially with Drummond, who is seemingly in this position of power, but he got dunked on by Milchick. Uh, Mark Scout has been giving him a runaround where he can't, find him.
Yeah.
It just feels like everything had been crumbling for a man who feels so self-important that like him trying to actually kill Mark was not a surprise once that broke down the way it did.
Yeah.
But then, full circle, it's when he's severed that Drummond gets shot in the neck.
Yeah. Crazy stuff. I mean, I was surprised that Drummond was, like, legit trying to kill Mark. I'm like, I feel like this is stepping a line that he does not have the authority, to kinda do here, but
Oh,
I don't know what the
definitely
hierarchy
not.
is. Like, I'm curious what would have happened to Drummond after that if he had actually gone through and killed Mark.
It wouldn't have been good.
Wouldn't have been good.
Guaranteed.
Um, a fun little tidbit I pulled, and I can't take credit for this, I saw it on Reddit. Season 1, when Petey is with Mark, he says he says, "Haven't you ever thought about it? Your innie could be down there on the severed floor murdering people and you would never know." And Mark's first time he wakes up on the severed floor, he accidentally murders someone. So, I thought that, yeah, that was a nice, uh, little detail pulled out that I was like, "Yeah, this show is quite tidy in their writing." Um,
I thought that was more when they brought that back the first time, I thought that was for Bert. Like when they had the whole Bert driving people out, not knowing what was going on. Like I thought all of that tied back to that, but I hadn't really considered that they brought it back again.
yeah. With Mark specifically, too, I mean, that I just thought that whole death scene, I thought it was amazing, like, everything going on from the fight with Brienne that you talked about, to the elevator, him accidentally killing Drummond, using the tie with the blood, just all amazing stuff. Also, we forgot to say during the marching scene, starting that with the Bulls playoff music was just incredible, like, all-time hype music. A little bit ridiculous, like, why would they be playing this? But it's also, if I had to choreograph a hype, like, moment in an office, I would probably use the Bulls theme too, like, it makes sense. How'd you feel about the emotions of Mark finally getting to see Gemma?
It was just an emotional release
Totally.
where I feel like it had been building for so long and we finally got that moment and it felt so good. And I'm still upset about it.
Yeah.
Just a testament to the acting and the characters and the writing and everything,
Yeah.
but I'm bitter.
So, I mean, yes, seeing Gemma was unbelievably cathartic. And then
Yes.
escaping. Mark also shades of Tom Cruise, like very Mission Impossible-esque. He looked running around, especially because of his hair, like being a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Um,
A little lankier.
yeah, a little lankier, probably similar height. And he
No,
would probably have,
nobody's as short as Tom Cruise in Hollywood.
yeah, I don't know. They all estimate by 5 inches, like Kier's wax statue. Um, but yeah. So my question for you is to start off with this kind of climax here. Was it Helly or Helena who appeared to lure Mark back?
I hadn't considered that, and I want it to be Helly, which means it was probably Helena.
The Glasgow block got put in and
Yes,
brought him
I
back.
think so. Because I think now that you say that, probably what they needed was for him to stay so that they could capture him and do whatever they need to do to, like, sort this out, which makes a lot of sense because that doesn't feel like a move that Helly would make. Helly would want Mark to get away.
Yeah.
And I think Helly came down the first time so that Helly was there to get Mark to finish Cold Harbor. But then after all that was going on, they were like, no, doop. And now it's Helena.
Yeah. I mean, there was also just like, I went back and I watched the Helly scenes again today, and it does feel like it's Helly throughout most of the episode. The speech she gives the marching band, all very Helly stuff, and even the body language. But, I didn't think of it initially. I had just kind of seen it through some chatter about the episode. But when I was watching the first time, like, it did feel ominous the way she was standing there, like at the end of the hallway behind Mark. Like, not as a
Right?
savior at first. It just felt off. And I think you're spot on that I don't think Helly would risk luring Mark back. Like, it felt like they had their closure and goodbye.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that means that they put in a switch real fast to get Helena to go bring Mark back.
But how, and then I bet you what we'll find out is how she got from there, like with Milchick, to where Mark is.
Yeah, I could see that being the open for sure of the next season, like replaying these events.
But from Helly's perspective
Yeah.
/ Helena's
Yeah.
perspective.
Because I mean, there is even a part of me is like, why are they still letting Helly, like, why are they even having her go down to the severed floor at this point? Like, isn't this presenting too much of a risk? Like, I don't know what Lumen is getting out of this other than Helena is driving some of this and trying to still live a little bit vicariously through her Annie.
Helena.
Whatever. Helene. Mark would be so upset with me.
Helene.
But yeah, I mean, it makes a lot of sense, and it's the total gut punch you would expect from this show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Mark decision, because I know you wanted to talk about his decision here. I mean, that was tough. I mean, to be Gemma, to be tortured, you're missing for 2 years. You have no idea where your husband is. You save him, or sorry, you get saved by him. Minutes later, you watch him leave and run away with who you know is the owner of Lumen. Like,
You watch as Annie do it.
but I mean, she doesn't really understand.
Or does she?
But does she? Maybe she does. I mean, regardless, to be that close and to have that happen is just brutal. I'm fully in the support Gemma and save her at all costs camp of, man, that was cold.
I was so angry. I was so angry when that happened, and Michaela was like, "We gotta watch, like, the Think Story video and the other, like, YouTuber,"
Yeah.
and I was like, "No, I wanna be mad. I want to be mad right now.
Yeah.
This is I am so upset with anymore. I get it. It's the end of his life. He thinks I have just a few more minutes. He has no idea that he murdered someone,
Yeah.
right? Like, he has no idea that the total stakes, and he knows it's the end of his life. But to his credit, he did everything he needed to do to save Gemma,
Yeah. He did it.
knowing that it was important to his Audi.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, man.
well, that and Helly convinced him, I think, too. But, like, I think a lot of it had to do with the sense of he knew even if he wasn't gonna go out that door, saving Gemma is the right thing to do here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and it's like the classic case of, I mean, you said you were so angry. It's like, I want to be clear that like I like hated that decision by Mark, and I felt so much pain and agony, but I think it makes complete sense from like a storytelling choice. And I
Absolutely.
totally understand why he did it, because like you said, like, I don't know, anybody put yourself in his shoes, like, you're knowing, if I walk out this door, like, there's a legit chance that I'm dead. Like, I'm never waking up again. Like, I'm never
Yeah.
coming back, never seeing Helly. And, like, that would make anyone pause.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
he feels like, okay, I did it. I got her out. I'm not sure I'm ready to, like, throw in the towel yet on my entire life. Like, it makes sense. But man, woof, just rough.
Wolf is right.
That's how I felt. Um,
Do you remember in Silver Linings Playbook where Bradley Cooper's character throws the book out the window and then just starts screaming at his parents about how much he hated it?
yeah.
That's how I felt like I was in that kind of zone last night.
Yeah. And I mean, what is like even more sick is that this whole season was setting up, can we test the limits of this emotional trauma? And Gemma, in a way, kind of failed the test, but in a sick twist, Mark passed the test by just walking away from her and like having no regard or care for
It's a good
the
point.
other piece of his, soul and body, um, having full context. So it's just sick stuff.
It's a really good point. I hadn't considered that.
Um, you got anything else to say on that, or you want to give me your high level thoughts on the season?
Fantastic season of television. I mean, Severance has gotta be one of the top shows on television right now. Like 1 hour drama. I mean, it feels like it should have been made by HBO. It's that good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, they killed it. I mean, and it has been. I feel like it has picked up so much steam over the gap between the
Yes.
seasons, and then this season, because I didn't watch
Yes.
season one live. Um,
Oh,
but
I did.
I was like, damn, I feel like everyone is talking about Severance right now. Yeah, great stuff. I mean, I think we got 2 all-timer episodes, this season, and I was having the feeling of, like, where is this leading in some aspects, and I was nervous, especially mainly because like, the reintegration was just it wasn't going the way I'd expected it, so I was feeling a little unsettled, but
Okay.
it ended in a great spot for me.
Yeah.
I loved it. Do you wanna do some, rapid fire rewards to kinda close out the season?
Sure.
Best episode, or your favorite episode of the season?
The finale.
The finale? I'm gonna stick with the Gem episode.
Also a great episode,
Yeah,
but the finale. There were so many things I liked about the finale. So many emotions I felt in the finale that I didn't feel in the Gemma episode. I gotta get there.
yeah. Who's your biggest loser of the season? You can take this as
Drummond.
who? Drummond?
Drummond.
Because he died.
No, it just he kept getting shit on the whole season, and then he gets shot in the neck.
Yeah.
And dies in this. He just took so many L's this season.
Yeah. I'm going to go with, I can pick one if you force me, but I'd go with the couple of Rickon and Devin.
You got to pick one.
Devin. I think.
Why?
I feel like she really dropped the ball this season. I mean, in hindsight, yes, calling Cobell ended up working out for Audi Mark. Still feels like a very weird decision, and like based on how Devin reacted to Cobell at the end of season 1. I mean, and at this point, she's maybe lost Audi Mark. Maybe she'll get back Gemma, but she's lost Audi Mark and her brother. I don't know. I just felt like Devin was making some poor choices toward the end of the season. And Rickon, I just wanted more Rickon. And we didn't get enough. And all we got of him was maybe writing a, employee handbook for Lumen.
Which is hysterical.
Yeah. Who's your most improved player?
Ooh.
Biggest glow up from season 1 to season 2?
Milchick. Really shown.
Yeah.
It's season 2.
Milchick could sweep some of these awards. I was going to go with Dylan. I was really happy to see more to Dylan than finger traps. And I'm glad we got, because I already knew I loved Irv. I already knew I loved Helly. I already knew I loved Mark. And Dylan cracked me up in season 1, but I was just glad we got more depth to him.
Fair enough. Good choice.
Who's your rookie of the year? A new character into the cast.
Miss Wong.
Yeah. Her, what was that instrument she played? The little, I don't understand how.
Theremin.
I don't even understand how that works. I feel like it's fake.
No, it's like basically math music. Like it's like an XY, and based on where it hits and intersects like your hand, like that's the noise of it.
It's crazy. I'm gonna go Drummond. Is it good if you're a rookie and you die? Probably not.
No.
But he came in guns a-blazing, played a pretty big role, and I thought it was a good presence, a little bit more than just the typical muscle or the heavy that you kind of get in a show like this. I enjoyed Drummond.
Yeah, fair.
Who's the real villain in the Severance?
Still
world?
Lumen.
Still Lumen? Yeah.
It's got to be Lumen.
Yeah. I was thinking men will do anything besides going to therapy. Like, if Kier just got too much money. It kind of just sounds like you need a shrink, dude. Like, just relax. Season MVP.
Ooh. Could be Milchick.
Yeah, Milchick's always an option.
It's good. That could be. It is. For me.
Yeah. Just to spice it up, because you and him, I got to go Helly, Britt Lauer. I thought, even just like from a big picture, she had the most.
Are you giving it to Helly, the character, or are you giving it to Britt Lauer, the actress who played 2 parts?
Both. Because I would even have the same rationale for Milchick, because Tremel Tillman was amazing. But I feel like Helly, not only did she navigate like getting back, into her innie, kind of sucked that she got coerced for the first 4 episodes. But, she got to sleep with Mark. She got to help him spring. She was kind of the inciting incident. She got to give the battle speech, there in the finale. I loved everything going on in the Helena world this season. And I thought she had the most interesting work with making you question. It's kind of like watching The Thing, and you're just questioning, who is this, the real person, or is this the monster? And I love that. But can't fault Milchick. He's just the best. What would you give this season out of 25, and how would you compare it to season 1?
I would give it a 24 out of 25, and I'd give it probably season 1 a 22.5, 23 out of 25. It was just a little bit better. I think they just took the next step.
Yeah, they're pretty parallel for me. I'd probably, gun to my head, I'd say 23.5 out of 25 for this season. I'd probably say 24 for 20, just because I feel like the finale of season 1 was just flawless.
See,
and I just
I
love
think
the
the
beginning
finale
and
of
stuff.
season 2 was better than the finale of season 1.
Oof. Yeah, I mean, it's like, do I want popcorn or Raisinets at the movies? I love both.
That's not a. That's no.
For me personally, I love Raisinets.
Said nobody ever
Yeah.
except for Randy.
Yeah, I don't know.
Man.
Sometimes they're out of them, and I'm like, who is this other Raisinette fuck stealing them all from me? Because they don't keep a big inventory because they know there are a few of us out there. But
I've always said it. Whenever I'm going to the movies, the first thing I look for is the race.
I love them. I love them. Yeah.
Can we get a poll? If anybody listens to this episode, can you please write in on your take on Raisinets? Because we need closure on if this is an acceptable thing for Randy to say or not. Because I don't know how I feel about this.
The last time we had an intense food argument was over pistachio ice cream, and I got confronted in person about that from Alan from the Retrotopia podcast, who told me over drinks, I am that guy. I love pistachio ice cream. So there's going to be another one out there, another Raisinette.
I would be willing to bet money that there is not another Raisinette head that will hear this podcast and write in.
You wait. You just wait, buddy.
And that can't be like you bribing somebody to come in and say they're a Raisinette head. No.
Yeah, I won't. If you like Raisinets, find us on our socials. Anything else you got to say?
No, it's pretty interesting covering a season more or less live. I know we've had some seasons on here where we've done 2 episodes, or even 1, but this was a little bit different. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, I liked it. We had to chunk it up a little bit because it's not our full-time job, and we just cannot be recording multiple podcasts a week. But yeah, no, this was awesome. No prep required outside of watching the show, which is great. We didn't have to read a book. That was cool.
That was great.
Yeah.
Real time saver.
Yeah. What are you doing in the TV world now that this is over?
Cannot speak more highly of Abbott Elementary if you are into sitcoms. And even if you're not, it's S tier. The other thing we're really into right now is Next Level Chef. Got Michaela hooked, and it's probably my favorite cooking show ever.
I thought you were going to say White Lotus.
Oh, well, yeah. I thought we might be covering that, and I thought you were going to set it up, so I was leaving that one for you.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
is that not what you're about to do?
No.
Did I misread that? Oh, okay.
I was just curious what you've been into.
I thought you were setting something up.
No.
Just trying to put it out there. Yeah. White Lotus is fantastic.
Yeah. I'm happy to chat White Lotus sometime. We could do a mini one on that.
We should do one when the season's over, because I think it's interesting that you don't feel the same way I do about the season.
We could also do a mid-season check-in, because I think we're about to I think there's
2 more episodes.
10 episodes.
I thought there was only 8.
No, I think that this is a longer season. I'm going to be even more upset with this show, because I'm like, why the hell have we had to have Tim be drug zombie for 3.5 episodes if there's only 2 more? It's 3 more episodes. So we are over halfway. Damn. Yeah, we've got 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
Were the other seasons? The other seasons were 6 episodes then, I think.
No. I think they've all been like 8.
I don't know. Or last was 7. Season 1 was 6 episodes. Okay. So 6, 7, and then 8. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know. I've just felt like the past 3 episodes could have been, I'm like, this could have just been a movie. I was like, nothing has changed in Tim's life. But I'm happy to talk about it. I want to explain. I like The White Lotus. It's a good watch. I think watching it alongside Severance and watching it alongside, we just finished Station 11. Both of those shows are like some of the best stuff I've watched in my life. That White Lotus just doesn't hit as hard, but that I'm still liking White Lotus. It's a good, I don't even want to say, I hate the term guilty pleasure, but it's a low stakes watch because I just don't really care about what's happening in the show when I'm done watching the show.
But like, hang on, let me ask you something then.
Yeah.
At what point do people stop going to White Lotus hotels? Because somebody dies every time. There's always people dying at a White Lotus.
Yeah. I mean, they're covering it up, clearly. You saw the way Fabian responded to Belinda's concerns. Yeah. Sounds like we got a lot to talk about with White Lotus.
Yeah.
One quick thing, because we didn't mention Twilight this episode, the way Milchick hopped on that desk after coming out of the bathroom definitely looked like Twilight vampire hopping on. I had that note I wanted to make.
Yep. Nailed it.
All right, now we can officially wrap this up.
How many episodes in a row is that we've talked about Twilight?
5? When did we first record it?
Yeah, so every episode since. I'll have to go look. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. This is away this weekend. Chance Peacock gets fired up. Maybe a little wine uncorked. Who knows? No, I want to save it till it's fresh because we're doing this at some point. I don't know when, but we're doing it.
I got you so hooked.
Yeah, I'm Twilight pilled.
I regret nothing.
Yeah, just been living in a Pattinson world. There's like fireworks going on outside.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Cool. But we can, let's wrap this up because we are just rambling at this point. Thanks for listening, everybody. Next up, we said Moneyball, and I'm excited to cover that one. The book has been, it's been an interesting read, as Nick and I are both baseball kids. If you have thoughts or questions, you can reach out to us, rewatchplaypod@gmail, rewatchplaypodcast on Instagram. Let us know about the Raisinets. And thanks for listening, everybody. Take it easy, Nick.
Till next time.